Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brenna. I am a human design reader and astrologer of 9 years, getting you all the good juicy information and going into deep detail on all of the aspects of human design and astrology, one video at a time. In this video, I'm going to be going into a deep dive of Gate 2, which at the time of filming this video, it is currently May 5th, happy Cinco de Mayo, and about like the end April 30th to about May, I would say, like 5th, 6th, 7th, we're going through even a little bit after that. But we experience this transit towards the last week of April and the beginning of May every single year. So when you are in Taurus season, the beginning of Taurus season, and are feeling the shifts, feeling the energy, we're always going to feel the emphasis of Gate 2. Or if you have it in your human design body graph, this is some essence or a part of your personality. If you have a Taurus placement that you're always going to feel in your persona, in your personality, in your energy. So if you're familiar with your natal chart and tropical astrology and you have a Taurus placement between 13 and 18 degrees, you also have Gate 2 in human design. So this is where we see a little bit more of that overlap. A couple things I'll say when taking into consideration any video that I have in this deep dive series all about the gates in human design is that you want to take a look at whether or not you have Gate 2 as a part of the 214 channel, whether or not you have the center undefined and you have Gate 2 but not a channel, or if you just have Gate 2 as a hanging gate in your human design body graph. Because the way that we pick up and flavor those placements, some of you are going to feel this energy a little bit more intensely, especially if it's in a channel, versus others of you are going to feel a little bit more sparingly. If you have an upward facing arrow, this means you have this placement in an exaltation. If you have it in a downward facing arrow, it means it's in a detriment. Or if you have an asterisk or a star, that's what's called a juxtaposition. Exaltation means that you lean towards enacting on the positives or the upward swings of this energy. Downward facing arrow means that you have it in a little bit more of a detrimented state, especially if you're familiar with those terms in astrology. You may know what those means, the dignitaries. Juxtaposition means that you enact on both. If you don't have an upward, downward, or star next to it, doesn't mean anything bad. It just means that it's not as heavily aspected in your human design body graph. We're going to go through all the 6 profile lines, numbers Gate 2.1, Gate 2.2, etc. So you know what all of the transits flavor, or how this transit flavors this week of the year for you, what to expect for those of you who have this placement and don't have this placement. You're going to feel the effects at this time. However, if you have this placement, there's going to be one specific profile line in your human design body graph that's going to feel more aligned with you, making you a little bit more self-aware how to navigate this placement more effectively. If you want to get a copy of your human design body graph for free, there's a free chart generator at the link in the show notes. You can grab that and then come back to this video to learn all about Gate 2. Without further ado, let's get into it. Gate 2 is known as the gate of the direction of the self, and it sits in the G center, which is all about our sense of love and direction. You are somebody who is here to find your path and your purpose, but initially in the beginning stages of your life, it may be a little bit unclear on how you're supposed to get there or what exactly you're supposed to do in this lifetime. At the end of April and beginning of May, everybody that I read for, I've done doing this work for 9.5 years now, has this kind of like midlife crisis 6-day period window and after Aries season. It's kind of like, okay, I've reacted, I've had a new plan. Now how do I ground myself in this Tauran bull-like energy to get more clarity on like where I'm going? I know I have this idea, very Tauran to be fixed, but also like, how do I refine this so that I get more aligned with my path and wherever I'm supposed to be going? What I also have been saying a lot, especially for people with this placement, is that you are clear on your end goal, but it's the roads that get a little mucky about how you're going to get there. So I always say my guide, or my job as your guide and as your mentor, is to hand you the machete to help you weed whack through the forest and get to that end result a little bit easier. Now, another thing to pay attention to is that whatever it is your end goal, if it's like partnership, marriage, hitting an income goal, hitting a subscriber goal, hitting a content goal, whatever it is, a weight loss goal, you want to make sure that you are aware of how long it's going to realistically take you to hit that goal. This is where some of the Tauran energy of slow and steady wins the race can be really good for you, rather than you having to feel overly pressured by looking to the left and to the right of you and comparing other people that are along maybe a similar path, but it's their road. It's not, you're not on the same track for a reason. You're adjacent to each other, not trying to beat each other, elbow each other out of the way to get to that end destination and goal. The key here to understanding this placement even more accurately, is by looking at your energy type and strategy and authority first. So when it comes to understanding clarity of your goal, if you're a manifesting generator, for example, you're going to have many different projects or things that you're doing simultaneously, but the dial is somebody with gate 2 or experiencing gate 2 for 6 days of a transit is going to be turned up a little bit higher on one thing. For my projectors, you guys, for example, as an opposite to this, are going to really focus on one thing for a longer period of time. So if a manifesting generator does 7 different things in 1 year, you do 7 different things over the course of many different years, maybe even a couple decades or the entirety of your life. So not getting hung up on being afraid to pick one thing for now, for this quarter, for the next couple years, really refining your mess and your message is going to be super important, especially any of you that are spiritual entrepreneurs or looking to market yourself using this gate placement. If you have this center defined, you're going to find that your life path is more obvious. If it's undefined, you are going to be the person that can really clearly see how to guide others. And that ironically becomes your purpose because you're so good at helping other people, guiding other people. Even if you haven't had their specific experience, you're able to see and pour in and understand somebody's identity or archetype really clearly, that you can confidently give them the tools to send them on their path. So this is where you don't want to get so hung up on, but I don't know where I'm going. You being present, being sacrally grounded in that moment, even though this is G center, but just for the sake of example, being grounded in that moment and guiding other people is exactly what your purpose is and a major part of it. What's really important at the end of the day with this placement is to focus on grounding yourself in your authority and listening to your authority before you even listen to this gate placement. This gate placement helps you to understand your energy over time, your path, and your purpose by allowing yourself to ground. And if, say, you're a splenic authority, moment to moment. If you are gut sacral, then really grounding yourself in the present moment, making decisions. If you're an emotional authority, sleeping on things for a day or two. And then that will help you to get more clarity on what your exact next step should be to help you find more aligned purpose, a more aligned sense of purpose, and more aligned people to show up with or for by allowing yourself to see your purpose with much more clarity. You know exactly the people that you're meant to serve. So a major flavor of this gate placement is receptivity. So being open to receiving. Taurus is ruled by Venus. So it's like that lovingly relaxed, divine feminine kind of essence, no matter your gender, and really leaning into being in a more receptive place. Especially we see this with my non-sacrals with this placement. If you have gate 2 in the first line, this is known as the gate and line of intuition. And this is where we see the heavy Venusian values in terms of aesthetics. I'm a Taurus 4th house, as you could probably see and have noticed from my background here, really leaning into making your environment beautiful, dressing beautifully, and really allowing that to be a way that you fully immerse yourself in the physical, visceral experience of being a spiritual person that adorns your body, that wears certain jewels, that wears certain colors, that feel really aligned. Taking care of your space, your place, your vessel, physical, and the vessel in which you live, super important for you to get more aligned with being able to be attuned to the gifts that the other side gives us, really being one with the universe, and really knowing that we incarnated here for a purpose. We feel in incredible communion with allowing the universe to bless us with abundance of material things and really aligning with that. Now, if it's in a detriment or a downward facing arrow here, you are somebody who can really try to rush feeling in connection with spiritual energy because you were very ego driven, or you feel like you have to perform and deliver for somebody else. So therefore, instead of waiting to receive this higher wisdom, you feel like you kind of have to create something or feel like you have to speak ahead of time. Remember, Taurus energy can be very taxing on the throat chakra, and feel like you have to interject or say something revolutionary or talk just for the sake of talking, rather than sitting in that quiet stillness, waiting for the right moment to come, enjoying being in your beautiful environment, and then sharing when it's the appropriate time. If you have gate 2 in the second line, 2-2, a little angel number here, this is known as the line of the genius. And when it's in its exalted placement, you are somebody who kind of automatically just understands things very quickly, especially for my people that have a lot of Gemini or Virgo in their chart. In addition to this placement, you really like pick up what people are putting down almost even before it comes out of their mouths. It's again that genius energy where it's very easy for you to see something at face value and even beyond. You are able to read between the lines of what people are saying without them even really know that you're doing it. And it's interesting because opposite of this sign sits Scorpio. So we see a lot of those scorpionic, both equally fixed placements same modality or quality here, that are aligning with each other. That ability to see people in incredible depth when you kind of are watching them from a more relaxed place. And also subjects as well. It's very easy for you to understand and ascertain knowledge pretty quickly. In its detrimented state, this is a more obvious this or that, like positive, negative version of this. And so it's being smart or somebody who's super cerebral, super educated, but acts really arrogantly. You'll see that the opposite of a couple of these placements already is ego-driven behavior and feeling like, well, I know this, so I'm better than that person. It's like if you're comparing somebody who's book smart to somebody who's street smart, and then you get somebody who's both, and it's a lethal combination. I know I have quite a few of you in here that have both of those, probably this placement too. I just don't remember off the top of my head, but really focusing on like, okay, I am book smart, but that doesn't mean that street cred doesn't serve its purpose and its time and its place when you need it, right? Like a book isn't going to help you in a snap moment where you need to defend yourself. If you have gate 2 in the third line, this is one of my favorite aspects, and it's known as the line of patience. And you are somebody who knows, and I say this all the time because I'm a 1-3, so it's the third line is inherently always a part of my profile, that martyr trial and error line. But it's that a good teacher or a good mentor knows that the only thing that they can do is perpetually be a student of life, and everything that they learn, they want to pass off and teach on to other people so they can apply the knowledge effectively to their lives too. So if you are somebody who just has gate 2 and it's not a part of the 14-2 channel, you are somebody who is really leaning into, as a 2.3 person, and what you'll experience on day 3 of this transit is really leaning into following that ability to be receptive. Now, if you have the full channel, you'll be able to be in a place of receiving material abundance, that receptivity that I keep mentioning, when you are able to share certain services to people that do always help them. So if you learn something and you've been, granted with this download from the universe, you're channeling something and you share it with other people, as somebody who has a 214 channel, this is where this comes in a little bit more into play, and more obviously where you provide a service for somebody, you're materially rewarded, energetically rewarded, spiritually rewarded on the other side of it as well. In its detrimented state, it's being really impulsive with sharing everything that you know, which isn't necessarily always a bad thing. This is why we say like the this or that, A or B kind of options here. And you are somebody who is more predisposed to sharing automatically. Now, if you're somebody that knows over time, you want to live in more of the exalted placement and make sure there's a give and take for the things that you share. You may not necessarily, as an example for content creation, maybe you don't just share this bit of knowledge as a passerby point of conversation in a live on YouTube, for example, but rather you create a whole offering or a whole reading for 1 hour that you sit with a person one-on-one or a group, a whole offering that's created around that thought. So that's where you want to pay attention to. Ultimately, again, what is your end goal? What's the process based on your intuition that feels really good for you to go in that direction and lead by example, both for yourself, but for other people, that to teach them how to treat you. If you are somebody who has gate 2 in the 4th line, this is known as the line of secretiveness. And you are somebody in its exalted placement who knows that when you can be a leader, but don't necessarily have to be the captain, you lead people by your intense energy. This is like part of the kind of regal quality of the 4th opportunist line, where we sit back, we relax, we know that we're powerful. We don't have to go around proving to everybody how powerful we are or how much influence just our energy provides in shifting people around us and shifting their perspectives, shifting their judgment, shifting their decisions that they make because of the way we show up energetically. In its downward or detrimented state, you are somebody who really, so the loose lips sink ships metaphor or example here, phrase. I don't know the proper term for it off the top of my head, but it's that saying goes for this placement. And so being really impulsive and speaking too much, speaking too rapidly, like always needing to feel like every thought that you have throughout your mind is something that needs to be shared at that moment, and can kind of give people the bad taste in their mouth of seeing you as a novice and not really knowing what you're talking about all the time, but just are saying things for the sake of filling up dead air. If you have gate 2 and the 5th line, this is known as intelligence, and more specifically intelligent application, especially if you have Mercury in this placement or it's exalted in this placement here. If you aren't familiar with what the exaltations, domiciles, etc., you can join my Substack for free, and I have a cheat sheet to like help you guys look at that in comparison. That's also linked in the show notes. But it's this exaltation in Mercury where we're really leaning into being able to share things incredibly well and effectively. You're a very strategic person, so refined aligning and knowing what needs to be shared in the proper way, shape, or form and time is crucial for you. Now, when it's detrimented state, this shows us being somebody that's hyper independent and isn't able to easily rely on other people or delegate appropriately. There's a really big overlap that we see with Scorpio placements and Taurus placements, and knowing that your vision and for who you are, you're always going to be the head, be the HBIC of whatever it is that you know. Like you're at the forefront, you're the creative, you're somebody who always is going to hold a creative vision. Now, you don't necessarily need collaborators, but you need people to execute on your vision to help you, more hands. But you want to make sure that these are people that you can know, like, and trust. Hence the secretiveness that comes with people that have this placement. It's not a bad thing to be secretive and to watch and, make sure that you're hiring and firing the right people accordingly. You just want to make sure that you're delegating appropriately, especially when it comes to a place of being able to expand and people that are going to help you grow. If you have gate 2.6, last but not least, this is the gate of fixation. And this is where we can see the bulls, the Tauran bulls that like to chew things down to a molecular level. On a day that we're experiencing this transit, which is happening in a day or two, this is where we see like, okay, I'm eating grass, but I need to understand it at a molecular level. You're going to have more of the disposition to be fixated on something temporarily that really excites you, that probably gives you the next brick on your path to take a step forward. However, if you stay here for too long, this is where you can get overwhelmed by your hyperfixation and overly rationalize anything to the point where you take the fun out of it for yourself. So, especially if you are somebody that's a sacral authority or an emotional authority, basically anybody but a mental authority, you never want to overrule your gut instinct with your logical mind. If you have it in its detrimented placement, gate 2 in the 6th line, this is somebody who can be really destructive when they only hyperfixate on material things, material needs, financial security, physical safety. Not that it's like you have to forego those things, obviously, like we're using our intelligence here, but you don't want to be somebody that totally just hyperfixates on the things that are like rational and logical without allowing yourself to have expansion, to creating downloads, being a more creative person, allowing yourself to know that life can be fun again. That's super important for people with this placement, especially when you're in a place of fixation on the last day of this transit, whether you have this placement or not, towards the first week of May, the end of the first week of May. You're really going to want to pay attention to how you can allow yourself to feel lighter, brighter, and happier, because that's when the good things come through, because after all, this is the gate of receptivity. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it helped you navigate the week ahead, your kind of weekly human design forecast here. And then if you have this placement either as a hanging gate, as its own, or in the full channel of the beat, the 214 channel, just let me know how you resonated with it, where you feel like you maybe want some more clarity in the comments below. And as always, if you have any other gates that you would like me to prioritize, you know where to find me, okay? Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you guys soon.